Hi everyone, welcome to Itsy Bitsy's live read from Out of the Shadows by Theresa Sederholt. Chapter 1, Brady. Dad, please stop crying. I tried so hard to stop her. To protect you. Dad, to protect us. I didn't want to hurt her, but it was the only way I could save you. Save us. I had to stop her. I'm so sorry. Daddy, hello? Why won't you answer me? Are you mad at me? I look around and everyone in the room is going about their business. Why is everyone acting like I'm not here? Hello, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? I don't understand. Why can't anyone hear me? I try to yell really loud so everyone can hear, but nothing comes out. I have no voice left. I'm sitting in the chair across from my dad, but he doesn't look up at me. He is crying uncontrollably. I've never seen my dad cry before. He wipes his eyes as he talks to the person in the bed. It must be my mom. But how could that be? I stabbed her while she was beating Daddy. She has to be dead. People usually die when they get stabbed. When I lean in to get a closer look, I gasp. It's me. How could that be me? How could I be in two places at the same time? For the first time in my life, I'm really scared. Daddy, please look up at me. I'm here, and I'm okay. She didn't hurt me like she said she would. Nothing. Why am I being kept silent, left on the sidelines, watching and listening? The door opens and a woman comes in. She goes to the bed and touches me. I watch as my body jerks. Not all women are bad like my mom, yet I can't help but being afraid of her touch. Daddy jumps up and squeezes my hand. He moved. That's a good sign, right? It's normal for someone under heavy sedation to have spontaneous movements. We will try to keep him heavily sedated so we can give the swelling around his brain a chance to subside. I assure you, Mr. Johnson, we are doing everything possible to help your son. Now that we have him settled in, why don't you let one of the doctors tend to your injuries? She sounds nice and she really wants to help us. He doesn't answer her, only shaking his head no. That's when I notice the blood on the side of his head. I thought I stopped her, but she still hurt him. The police are outside the room and want to speak with you. I'm not leaving my son's side. If they want to talk, let them in. As far as my injuries are concerned, I've survived a lot worse. She steps away from the bed. As you wish, but if you get lightheaded or your headache becomes worse, please let one of us help you. She opens the door to leave, and two men in suits come in. I've watched enough television shows to know that they must be cops that the lady was talking about. Mr. Johnson, I know this is not a good time, but we need to ask you some questions while the events are still fresh in your mind. My son is in a coma, and my wife put him here. What else do you need to know? We need to know the events leading up to this. What would make her do this to the boy? Is she dead? His voice is low and it's hard for me to hear. I lean in closer. I don't want to miss anything. She's in surgery now. Why don't you tell me what happened? I came home from work and she was beating Brady. I grabbed the first thing I could, which was a knife, and stabbed her. I called 911, but they were taking too long. I put Brady in my car and raced here to the emergency room. He's an innocent boy, caught in the middle of my nightmare. Dad, please stop lying. I did it, not you. When I came in and yelled for her to stop, she wouldn't. It's only after I stabbed her that she turned the bad on me. Tell them the truth, Dad. She was beating you again. She said she would kill me in front of you, and I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed the knife, and it stuck in her. Not you. I'm trying to yell, but nothing is coming out. With all due respect, sir, your story doesn't fit what we found at the scene. Now, do you want to change your story and tell us what really happened? Lawyer. I want my lawyer. Until that time, I have nothing to say to you. Now leave my son and me alone. We've been through enough. The officer places a card on the bed next to my dad, and they leave. Why is he covering for me? Why? Dane. Life changes, sometimes for the good, but for me it was the worst. How has my life spun so far out of control? I close my eyes and try to make sense of it all. I met Julie my senior year of high school. To say I fell hard and fast is an understatement. She was on the varsity softball team. I was the captain of the wrestling team. A match made in heaven, or so I thought. But I realized afterward it was hormones that were unleashed that day, not a match made in heaven. After graduation, I made the decision to join the Navy. My lifelong dream was to be a SEAL. I knew I couldn't let anyone or anything get in the way of that. When I broke the news to Julie, she freaked out. Right there should have been a sign, a red flag. However, I was a cocky kid, and bless her heart, she did everything she could try and talk me out of it. I rubbed my temples, remembering that day like it was yesterday. Dean, you can't leave me and your parents. There's so much here for you, for us. Why would you throw it all away? This has always been my dream, Julie. You knew that. We can still be together. Go to college, but wait for me. I promise I'll come back. I can't guarantee I'm going to be here when you get back. I can't put my life on hold for empty promises. That should have been another sign, but again, I was too green, young, and stupid. She was my first girlfriend, so I did the only thing I could think of. I asked her to marry me, with one condition. We do it after I finish basic training. She agreed, or at least I thought she did. You see, at that age, I took everything at face value. Now, of course, I know better. Fast forward to 2 days before I was supposed to leave for basic training, and that's when she dropped the bombshell on me. Dane, I'm pregnant. What do you mean pregnant? You said you were on the pill. It's not 100%. Nothing ever is. I want to get married before you leave. When I look back on this now, all the pieces to the puzzle were so clear to everyone but me. She played me like a fool. My parents saw through her games, and they tried to talk me out of it. I ignored their warnings. After all, I was 18, and I thought I had all the answers. Why do we have to rush? Let me get through my training. You can plan everything, and when I get back, we can get married. Oh, no. What if something happens to you? I'll be stuck with this baby and all the expenses on my own. At least, if we get married right now, the baby and I will be covered. Stuck? Another set of alarm bells should have been going off, but again, I was young and in love, or at least I thought so. Are you expecting me to die or something? Of course not. I love you, and I want to make sure that our baby is protected. That's what a good mother does, Dane. Besides, your pay will be more if we are married. You can save that for the baby. What about you going away to college? I'll go to the local community college. Don't worry, it will all work out. She had an answer for everything, and at that time it all made sense. My parents didn't believe she was really pregnant. They urged me again to wait. Reluctantly, I went along with Julie. We got married, and the next day I shipped out. During training, I had to block out everything, including Julie. After my 24-week basic underwater demolition SEAL camp, I received a letter saying I passed. While I was waiting for a spot to open for the 28-week extensive qualification training camp, I was shipped out to Naval Station Rota in Spain. I was there for 3 years, waiting for my chance to prove myself at SEAL camp. I asked Julie to join me in Spain, but she refused. Her first excuse was she wanted the baby to be born in the States. Soon enough, Julie gave birth to Brady. I wasn't there, and she never let me live that down. After that, every time I asked, it was one excuse after another. When a spot opened up in camp, I was given a 2-week leave to go home and tie up any loose ends. When I got home, I found a very bitter person, but at least I had my son. I'd vowed right then and there that I would dedicate my life to him. I knew that my time at the qualification camp was make it or break it for the SEALs. I was always a gym rat, so I had no problem with the physical stuff. However, I had to block out everyone and everything so I could keep my head in the game, to try and grab my dream. In the end, 9 members of my class made it, and I wasn't one of them. As much as I wanted my personal life to didn't want my personal life to affect me, it ended up making me a weak link. After that, I did an 8-year stint in the Navy, but I never made it my career. My heart just wasn't in it. By the time I left the Navy, my parents had passed, and I completed my degree in IT. Julie, on the other hand, never completed her degree. Just another thing she blamed me for, and ultimately Brady too. Chapter 2. The beeping of the machines in rhythm with my heart. As long as they keep going, so will I. I've been able to protect Brady at least up until today. Julie used him as leverage over me, and I let her. Growing up, my parents taught me to never hit a woman. I was always told to show manners and respect. So how should I defend myself? How do I protect my son? I'm glad my parents are not alive today to see what's become of me. Leaving was never an option. I couldn't fight her for custody, but who would believe me? I wouldn't leave Brady behind to deal with her on his own. I tried to seek help once. I found an online support group. Since I live in a small Ohio town, I thought this was a good idea, a way to keep my anonymity. Unfortunately, they were no help to me. Oh, sure, they gave me the typical advice. Leave, if possible, never retaliate, and get evidence of the abuse. Get a restraining order and an order of protection for my son. All good advice, just not for my situation. I did look into some shelters, but I couldn't find any that would help a man with a small child. Some people even came up with crazy ideas on how I should get rid of her. It's amazing what people will say when they hide behind a keyboard. All this did was to reaffirm what I already knew. There is a stigma surrounding domestic violence when it comes to the man. Society has no clue how to deal with it, and honestly, neither do I. After that, I found out that mental abuse was just as bad as physical abuse. When Julie couldn't take out her abuse on me physically, she would resort to mental abuse. I wanted to walk away, so many times. Once, I tried to do just that. Unfortunately, that's when she started to use Brady as a weapon against me. That's when the physical abuse got worse for me. One day, I decided to offer her an out. I figured she had to be miserable, so why not? I told her I would give her a divorce. I'd offered her money, the house, anything she wanted. All I asked for was full custody of Brady. I would even give her unlimited supervised visitation. She laughed and vowed to never let me walk away with my son. That was the day I saw how evil she really was. I kept trying to come up with some sort of solution, a plan. Most people would have given up, but I'm not most people. I decided to offer to pay for her tuition. I thought if she got her degree, she would find her purpose in life. After all, everyone needs a purpose. All that earned me was a coffee mug thrown at my head. With no degree or any kind of training, Julie went to work in retail. She picked up as many shifts as she could, probably to get away from us. One night after work, she went out for drinks with her friends. She had her friends and I had mine. They never mingled. The only one I've ever met was Janelle. She is everything opposite of Julie. Janelle was very short, bleach blonde hair, and is a large lady, whereas Julie has very long, black hair and is very fit. By the time Julie came home, she was drunk. Missing symbol. To the point of passing out. I was at the point in my life where I really didn't care what she did, except she drove herself home. One night I sat up in the living room watching her stumble across the front door. What would possess you to get behind the wheel of a car in that condition you're in? What the fuck do you care? Her words so slurred they were barely audible. I care about who you would have killed. I care about my son and the repercussions this would have on him. Did you ever think he would have to deal with if his mother was convicted of vehicular manslaughter? Totally disgusted, I got up and headed towards the bedroom. As I passed her, she grabbed an umbrella out of the stand. I heard a whooshing sound before I saw the handle making contact with the side of my face. I had no time to react. I guess I was in shock. I never expected her to hit me in the face. It was always a punch in the arm, a shove, or a flying coffee cup. I wrote it off as the effects of too much alcohol as I headed to bed. Without a doubt, I had a lump on the side of my face the next morning. Thank you for listening to this portion.